begin with those essential tips and tricks you'll need to make up to $600,000 a year. To share with you some essential tips and tricks to maximize your sales productivity. If this seems like a dream come true, you need to pay attention to my tips and tricks.
If any of you do happen to have questions about the products or how to make up to $600,000 a year, I suppose I'd be willing to share with you what I know.
Moira, honey, that champagne Audi is really hard to get. Take it from me, Roland and I have been Allez-vous reps for 2 years, and we're still driving that old truck.
Sorry, you're an Allez-vous consultant?
I'm actually an executive area manager.
I'm a district manager.
I'm an executive district manager.
I give up.
Anywho, good luck.
And now, welcome Presidential Diamond, Lindsay Hamm.
Hello. How many of you can relate to that scene? Have you ever felt that way in an essential oil class before? Yes? I love that clip. I'd like to ask you something, and I'd like you to be really honest. How many of you have been experiencing a shift in your business lately? Maybe your customers haven't been scooping up those promotions and BOGOs quite the same way that they once were. Maybe you're running into more and more people who are wellness advocates in your community, and it's making you feel a little bit less like a trailblazer, a little bit less confident like you did when you first began. How many of you feel that way? And some of you might not be there at all. You might be newer in your business, or your team might just be on fire right now, and that's amazing. But this topic is so important because regardless of where you're at in your business, you're going to face challenges along the way. And you're going to want to know how to not just survive them, but how to get through them stronger than you were before, right? Okay, so let me tell you a story of what happened to me last week. I've been running a couple of miles a few times a week lately, not more than a couple of miles. And one day, I had some Mito 2 Max, and I was feeling pretty good. So I decided to take a longer route on my run. And I got stuck about halfway. I got stuck feeling like I cannot physically take one more step. I'm going to fall over and die. And I felt that way partly because I had underestimated the heat that day, and partly because I hadn't been training to run 6 or 8 miles. I had been training for 2. Now, this was a problem because I had to pick my kids up from school, and I was running out of time. So it felt very much like this clock that's counting down for me right now. I started to feel nervous, and I was frustrated with myself. I used to be able to run this far. How come I can't do this? So I realized very quickly that the more times I stopped, the longer it was going to take me to get home. And I started giving myself these little challenges to run to the next song on my playlist, run a little further between stops. And I even slowed down my pace for a little while so that I could run instead of walk. And despite having to stop at a coffee shop and beg for free water, I did make it home almost on time. So I'd like you to bring awareness to your business right now and to where you are. If you had to describe your business, would you say that you're making progress, that you're moving forward, giving yourself little challenges to go a little further, exploring new strategies, or would you say that you're standing in the middle of the road, kind of frustrated and hot and tired, not sure how you're going to reach the end? Today, I'm going to talk to you about something very important, how your business is not always going to go like this, how it's not just going to be success after success, and how that's okay, and how it's actually a very, very good thing. Initially, almost anything that you start has a honeymoon period, kind of, right? When you start something, you're excited. And whether it's a new sport or a career, a job, a hobby, anything that you start is sort of clouded by this rainbow of hope, right? So all of those hiccups and growing pains and bumps in the road have that cloud of excitement. You believe in where you're going. And for the majority of people who start a doTERRA business, I've helped enough people over the past 5 years to notice that there are some commonalities in that launch period, particularly in that first kind of couple of classes, that launch class. Because that launch class is the love and support people. That launch class is usually someone's mom, an aunt, maybe a neighbor, a couple of friends. And so in my experience, a launch class typically goes pretty well for the majority of people. And that business builder who's just starting out, they're filled with hope. And they kind of picture it always being like that. How many of you pictured your business always being like that first great class, right? That your hope and your excitement is just going to translate to everyone you know. Everyone's going to come to your classes. You're going to sample everyone. They're going to come. They're going to buy oils. It's going to be amazing. I know I was that way. And I expected that my business would grow and scale with the same skill and the same mindset and the same effort. And I thought that way because we all love a fast and easy success story, don't we? We love those stories of the diamond leader who hit diamond in 4 months. We love it because it shows us that it's possible, that we can skip the years of hard work if we really want to. But the reality of those stories is that they're so few and far between. And the other part of those stories that sometimes we don't fully recognize is that there are years behind that seemingly instant success. Years of struggle, right? Years of growth and challenge in other ways that contributed to that person's fast success. And we don't really know about that struggle until someone's successful, right? How many of you have never heard of me before? Right? Until you hear somebody's name and you hear about their success, we don't know about those years of struggle. We don't know about what they've been through. 4 million iPhones later, we forget that people said that the Apple phone would never succeed. Visa and MasterCard were huge ideas that took years to take off before anybody heard of them. Does anyone remember checks or cash? Right? The president of Microsoft even said that Google was not a real company and that it was a house of cards. So today, I want you to just take a close look at your business and just kind of reflect on your expectations for your success here. What you're willing to commit to get where you want to go. And I want you to ask yourself if they're realistic, and I want you to ask yourself if they might be holding you back. I think it's important that we define what success means to us and ask ourselves how willing we are to push longer, to slow our pace, to ask for water so that we can get to the end. Because if you're going to do this, if you're going to really, really do this, how many of you have a goal to get to be a doTERRA diamond one day, right? If you want to get there, if you're really going to succeed here in doTERRA or do anything significant in your life, you have to expect a dip. Now, a dip, that phrase, comes from marketing author Seth Godin and his book of the same name. And he describes a dip as that horrible valley of despair, miserable period between when an entrepreneur first starts something and when they have truly mastered it. Now, we're going to face multiple dips. And in this particular business, in my experience, I have had a pretty major dip after almost every new rank. Has anyone else experienced that? because you push and you strive and you dream and you work hard and you rally your team. But it's a lot more exciting to go for a bright, new, shiny goal than it is to maintain it, isn't it? And it's a lot easier to inspire a team of people to go for a new goal than it is to keep them doing that day in, day out work of maintaining elite, right? A rank like elite. So we need to understand that dips are inevitable. We need to understand what to do in a dip. And something that's really interesting that I have found so fascinating is that successful people don't just ride out the dip. They lean into the dip. They seek out the dip. They look at it as an opportunity to grow. They look at the beauty in it, the gifts, and they come out of it faster and stronger. So let me ask you, how many of you have dropped a rank in the past few months? I'm going to be really vulnerable and honest with you in sharing that although my title up here is Presidential Diamond, we've only hit Presidential one time. And I'm not taking away from that accomplishment from my team or myself. But I share that with you so that you understand what success truly looks like. It's not this. It's this, and then this, and then this, and then this. After we hit Presidential in November, it was sort of like a veil was lifted on our business, and we made some decisions. We took some risks that we hoped were going to pan out, which is what you do in business, right? And they didn't. And it didn't just set us back one rank, it set us back 2 ranks. And after that, I felt a little bit, to be honest, like I had climbed a mountain, and I was really proud of myself. And then I was down at the bottom again. But why do we feel so much shame and so much attachment to a title? No other business in the entire world works that way. Why do we let it hold us back in continuing our passion? I was speaking with Shannon McCabe this morning, who stayed with me last night, and she's a diamond in doTERRA, and her husband is a chiropractor. We were talking about this very thing, this dip that a lot of teams are experiencing right now. And he said, Shannon, this is just normal business. You should know this. We own our own business. This is what happens to every single business, every single company, because that fast trajectory can continue quite at that pace. It's normal. I've been thinking about it a little bit like this. What if you won the best small business award in your community? You owned a business and you won this prestigious award in your community for the best business. But then the following year you didn't win. Would you give up? Would you quit? Would you say, forget it? All the money, all the time, all the effort I've put into this. You know what? If I can't be the best small business in my town, it's over. No, of course not. That's ridiculous. Would you instead explore a new strategy? If you wanted to be better, you would consult a specialist. You would look at what were we doing last year that we're not doing this year, right? You would invest in new tools and tactics. So ask yourself, are you stuck with the way that things were or the way that things are instead of being busy turning things into what they could be? In the middle of the mortgage crisis, when housing prices were dropping dramatically, there were sort of 2 mindsets among realtors. Many real estate agents were terrified, and they were frustrated, and they were angry, looking at what was happening to them and worried about their future. And then there were other realtors who saw things a little bit differently. Instead of looking at what was happening to them, they looked at what was happening around them. And they knew that the current problems were not going to last forever. They knew that the quick opportunity seekers were going to probably quit. And then if they could buckle down during that rough patch and use that time to better themselves and refine their skills, it would be an opportunity to set themselves apart. Both of my girls do competitive cheerleading. This is my daughter, Adri. And I have been so proud of her this past year because she had a goal to get to the next level in cheer. And she worked hard all year. She worked during the winter and the spring on her tumbling. She worked to get those skills that she would need at tryouts so that she could move on to the next level. And you know what? She got them right before tryouts. We were so proud of her. But she didn't make that team. And the reason she didn't make it was because there were so many other girls going for that same team. And some of them had been on it the year before. The kids who made that team had more experience, more time to master those skills. Now, Adri, this is why I'm so proud of her. She could have put her feet up and had a really easy year. She could have just relaxed, coasted her way through level 1, knowing that she would probably make level 2 next year. You know, by that time, she would be safe to assume that she would make it. Instead, she started working 3 times as hard. She started practicing like crazy, asking for more lessons. She understood that her work now was going to pay off later. Challenges are an opportunity to set yourself apart. Now, why might we be experiencing challenges? What are these changes? Well, I don't know about you, but when I first started my business, doTERRA was pretty much it. They made essential oils mainstream, and it's pretty easy to sell something that's the next big thing, isn't it? It's pretty easy to sell something that everyone's talking about, right? That's what fads are. And when you're the only yoga studio in town, everybody's going to go to you. But if you're a yoga studio in New York City, you have to work a lot harder to keep your clientele, to attract new ones, right? To stay relevant. doTERRA was new. It was, and it still is, the best. But if you talk to someone about what they feel is the best, their version of the best is subjective, right? Let me explain. If I want to get a massage, my best massage is going to be dependent on a lot of things. It's going to depend on my budget, what's available in my local area, what I value as an experience in a massage. It's going to depend if I want a spa, lights and candles, or if I just have a kink in my neck and I really need to work that out, right? To some people, the best essential oils are currently 10 for $29.95 and they come with a diffuser. And the reason that they're the best to them might be because of some of those same reasons. Now, we're so lucky, guys, that doTERRA takes care of the entire back end of our business, right? It's unheard of to have a business where everything from sourcing and testing and tech support and shipping is all taken care of for us. But it's our job to connect in a different way. We know that we have the best. So how do we bridge that gap between where we are and where we want to go? What's missing? We have to grow our muscles. Now, what do I mean by that? Weight training is a really fascinating science in the sense that you do a whole bunch of work for no other reason but to tire out your muscles so that in the very last couple of seconds, they'll grow. Most people don't look like Mr. Universe on the cover of a magazine because most people don't push that hard to those very last few seconds. Most people quit before that point. And it's human nature. It's human nature to quit when it hurts, right? How many of you are a little tired today after convention? It's been a lot. It's been amazing, but it's a lot, right? I'm tired. I'm an introvert. I'm a huge introvert, so convention is hard for me. How many of you thought of maybe not even coming today? Actually, I can't raise my hand because I had to speak. But I'm here because you're here. You have pushed past the point of it hurting, right? You are ready to grow. I want you to ask yourself why you're here. Why bother? Are you willing to take everything that you've learned? You're tired. You're here. You're learning all of this knowledge, all these new amazing skills. I'm learning things. Are you ready to take that home and not just put it in the back of your desk drawer, but actually use it and take your skills to the next level? Kim Fitzpatrick is a mom on my daughter's cheer team, and she's a top Beachbody coach. Some of you may follow her on Instagram. And she spoke at their recent summit, and Kim said, "I remember sobbing on my kitchen floor, contemplating quitting in November of 2017. I realized that some of the women walking with me weren't my people. The drama and conflict on a team wasn't the culture we were going to create. We will all go through valleys, especially if we're trying to climb our highest mountain. 2017 was the best thing that could have happened to me. And the gift in sitting on that floor, knowing I was either going to rise up or step out, helped me level up and create a crystal clear vision. I will thank God every day for that experience. Fast forward to 2019, and our team is stronger than ever. Remember, when it gets hard, you asked for this, and you can." Thank you very much.